Okay, here we are in a brand new town. What am I seeing here? I don't know what that is. I just wanted to show the very beginning of this place and explain what happened to my other place. But before I do that, I have to put the town hall in, because without the town hall at the beginning, you're not able to install any of the services, education, police, etc. So this is the very, very beginning of this town. As you can see, everybody's moving in. I have 282 people. Boston Regal, whatever that means. And I am in time going to try and make this place a tourist attraction, a tourist town with casinos and perhaps an airport, and especially the ferry. What do you call that? The ferry terminal. Because I found out in the last couple of games that this thing works quite well. It does get rich people to come into your town, so it's very useful. So I will be doing that. As regards my other towns, I know that I finished the last episode. I had built the international airport, but the damage was so extensive in that particular region that I decided not to. I would have had to go back to square one really and rebuild all the towns, and I would have had to rebuild them with the crime rate and the pollution and all the things that had accumulated, and I couldn't be bothered doing that. So I decided I would go to another region, and so I did go to the desert where I had some towns built. In some previous videos I did back in March and April of this year, I built some towns in the desert, and I very imaginatively called one of them Desert Town. So I went back to that region to try my experiments again with the whole tourism industry. And I did get a town working pretty well there. I kind of built a strip, and it looked a lot like Las Vegas, actually, the Las Vegas Strip. And I managed to get that going pretty well, and I started putting lots of casinos in. And I eventually managed to put in the Elegant Hotel, which is the very difficult casino to get to work. But it was still losing money, in spite of the fact that every other casino hotel in the town was making a fortune. The Elegant one was losing money. And when I checked further, I realized that, because you can click on the hotel and you can see how many guests you've got, and you can see how many people are gambling, and whether they are high wealth, medium wealth, low wealth. And when I did that, when I checked, I realized that the casino was actually packed to capacity. It was full. Every room was taken, and of the 350 high wealth people that it could accommodate in its casinos, I had 350 high wealth people. So I couldn't have done any better with the casino. It was maxed out. and it was making a 50,000 simoleon loss every hour, in spite of the fact that it was maxed out. So after that, although I still want to try another one here, because I found it very interesting, just trying to get high wealth tourists into the town. That's what I spent most of the time doing. I had planned on recording it all. But then things kind of took a turn for the worst when I started to get obsessed with getting rid of the crime levels in the town, and in order to do that I had to build various police precincts, and in order to afford them I had to take money from other towns. And once I'd finished, I had the town very clear of criminals, but they started arriving from other towns, so I had to go into the other towns and clear them up of all the criminals, which cost more and more money. And anyway, I can't say to cut a long story short because I'm waffling on already, but I eventually went bankrupt pretty much in every town, because it cost so much money to try and get the crime rate down to next to zero. And I went bust, basically, exactly like I had done in the towns which are in my little videos that I've been uploading over the last few days. So Desert Town went bust, that whole region, simply because of the amount of money I was spending on trying to sort out the crime problem. And the other region went bust because of all the trouble to build the international airport. So kind of in a fit of I don't know what you'd call it, frustration, I suppose, I deleted the regions. I had 3 regions and I deleted 3 maps, basically. I was working on 3 different maps, have been for over a year, but I deleted all of them. I said, the hell with this, I'm going to get rid of all these places. They're all bankrupt anyway and I can't be bothered trying to sort them out anymore, and I'm going to start a completely fresh map. And that's what I'm doing here. This is completely new. People are just moving in. This, by the way, is the smallest map, I think you call it, the smallest map in SimCity. It's literally just these 3 towns. And if you want to kind of, I don't know, if you want to be very detailed about things and you want to see about people going from one town to the next, and you just want to really focus all your attention on a few towns, this is ideal. All the resources are in this town. You've got all the oil, the ore, the coal, and you need to use it wisely, because there's nothing in this town, and there is nothing in this town except water. So these, oops, oh god, I didn't mean to do that. So really what you're supposed to do is you make money in that town I showed you that has the resources, and then, as you can see from these places, they were made to be tourist spots, really. They've got sandy beaches all around them. They're practically little islands almost. So you've got no natural resources here, so really all you can do is make these places touristy. That's what I'm going to do. Now that I'm here, I may as well commence here as well. So let's just do a road out like this, and here I'm just very quickly going to get started here as well as in the other town. I guess I might as well. The wind is going out to sea. Okay. What you need at the beginning is You need that. You need some kind of a very temporary sewerage thing, which is going to be pumping crap straight into the sea. We'll try and get rid of that as soon as possible. And you need water. That's really all you can afford at the beginning. And then on this side, so people can come in from here and here. And from here, I actually worked on this particular area a couple of months ago when I was trying to build the, well, I did manage to build it, the space center. And then we can just get things going like that. Let's put the businesses on the main road. I'm not sure that's a great idea. It might cause a bit of a traffic jam here. And let's put the, of course, the industry there. And then I have to wait till people come in. This place has one great work, which, like I say, the last time I was here I managed to put the space station here, but this time it might be interesting to put the, once again, to put, well, either the space center, which apparently is good for getting tourists. This thing is not, or perhaps the international airport, which accepts freight and also is very good for tourists. So you can see it's just in the center. Very small area. That's where all the resources are. That's the town I just left in here. So you can really keep an eye on everything. The other reason I came here, besides kind of losing my mind and deleting all the other regions I had, is that because this is a fresh start, I can hopefully keep an eye on the crime, which I've kind of become obsessed with that. And with a region this size, you just have to worry about the 3 towns. But if you have a region that's got the ability to build, let's say, 16 different towns, and you're unlucky enough to have built something without any police stations or whatever, and a town has got very big, then you're going to have hundreds of criminals coming from that town, and no matter what you do in the other towns. So this place, my intention is to try and go very much on education and crime prevention, and keep the figure in this, keep it as low as possible. I won't keep it like that, but what annoys me about this is that sometimes you can have this figure, crimes committed per day. It can be very low, but what I don't want is criminals at large. I don't want this figure can go ballistic. You know, in the other places I've been working over the last few days, sometimes this figure was up in the hundreds, and that really is it just annoyed me, and I couldn't get rid of it no matter what. I ended up just bankrupting every town I went into to try and control that. So at least here I'm starting from fresh again, from scratch. So at the moment I am in an area where there is no criminals. And why did the shops built for? Oh, here's the people coming in. Same thing about this area. I'm going to go through it kind of slowly, and I'm going to put two. I'm going to make both towns tourist towns. The other town that has all the resources, I will try and generate as much money as I can from that town, because you really need, I think for the tourist towns, you need to get the money from somewhere to, to start them up, or you can simply put in a small casino and wait, but it takes an awful long time. But if you've got some money that you can gift yourself from another town, you can start buying the these things, the attractions and things like that. These are all expensive, but you can start buying those if you've got some money. You can also start buying one or two of the bigger hotels, bigger casinos, which are a bit expensive when you're starting off. All that business will be done in the third town, which is somewhere. It's over there, I think. Something else I'd like to work on would be maybe the road system. It all depends on how much money, but I would really like to be able to put in a very good public transport infrastructure, because again, one of my old enemies in this game is the traffic. And there's nothing as annoying, and I've seen this so many times, there's nothing as annoying as spending millions and millions on the police service and on the fire service and on the medical service, and then because your roads are packed, because there's traffic jams all over the place, none of the services work. That's very, very annoying. So if I go back up here again, you can see everything is wonderfully connected here. It's not like in some other places where they're not as straightforwardly connected, or sometimes one town may only be connected to the other town by train, but here you've got the road. That's pretty straightforward. You've got the road straight here into the Great Work, and then this road here goes off up into the Norwich Hills, which contains all the oil and the ore and the coal. This town doesn't seem to be, well, yeah, I was going to say it's not connected to the Great Work, but obviously they're assuming you're going to send everything from here, because this is the only town that has any resources as such to send, so that's fine. That just goes right like that. I'm going to have to build a couple of things here. Not much at the moment. There's nothing really much I can do. One thing I can put here is the town hall. And then, because I think I can afford it, the next thing I'd like to put, can I afford it? Yes, is the very important school. And I'll put it there, and shouldn't really, I think I'm in range there of everybody. They should all be able to get to school from there. By looking at this, I think I've probably overdone it with the shops. This looks like too many shops for a small population, although maybe when it's all filled out. And the other thing is, it's going to be pretty busy here when it's all filled out, but at this level of the game it doesn't matter. They all walk everywhere anyway, so that should be fine at this moment. Now I'm going to go back to the other place here because I was about to put in a school, just like I did in that town. So where would be the best place to put a school? The thing to remember here is I don't want to put anything in line with this road, because that's going to come all the way through here at some point. I'm going to actually have to go through all of these houses here, but I want to try and remember not to put any important buildings. So let's put the school here. Not there. Kind of, it's a little bit far away, but let's, you know, we've got the buses. So let's and that's it. Not really anything else you can do at this stage. You just you have to let things develop a bit. Oops, I'm not playing in. You can play in sandbox, of course, in this game, and you can have everything available to you straight away, and you can have lots of money. But I never like playing sandbox. I like the challenge of having to earn the right to unlock things, and I also like having to build up my own finances. At the moment, I've got four grand here. I've got about 4 grand in the other town. And that's it. There is nothing much else you can do. And so, like I say, I'm going to kind of just very kind of hopefully patiently try and build up some kind of a system here. Try and work again, get to the point where I can work again on the tourism, and especially the high wealth tourists, and see if I can get a town that is kind of predominantly high wealth tourists, because that's kind of a challenge. That's quite difficult to do. What happens a lot in this game is that you get medium wealth tourists. They seem to start coming in their thousands, and you can make some money that way, but I really want to try and see if I can up the numbers of high wealth tourists. And then the other thing, because as soon as you start dealing in tourism, as soon as you start putting in hotels and casinos, the crime is going to go up. So I really want to try and keep the crime to a minimum, and to do that I'm going to have the police precinct, and also I'm going to have to be able to put the detective wings and get the police helicopters. You really need all those things if you're going to keep the number of criminals at large. If you want to keep that number small, you've really got to have the detective vans and things like that. And again, to keep crime down as well, they say you really need to concentrate on education, because the more educated the population is, apparently the less likely they are to turn to crime. But in spite of that, as soon as you open up casinos, you're going to get probably you're going to get more criminals anyway. So the thing is, when they arrive, is to have enough ammunition to deal with them, so that they don't overtake your town completely, like that has happened to me quite a lot in the other towns. So yeah, that's that for now. I like this area. It's very small, but it's when it gets going, it's really nice, and you've got some These two towns are really nice. They're right beside the sea. The other town is just down there, and you can get a lot of good action going on with boats and the yachts. With this area, once you put the ferry, because you can put quite a few ferry terminals in, and they really do work pretty well. You get lots of boats and cruise ships and things coming along. You can see a couple out there. So this is a great area for that, because you're right at the sea. And yeah, I'm looking forward to putting those in. After this, I shall stop here. I shall just call this one at this point, but then I'm going to go over to my money town, if you like, here, which contains all the resources, and I'm going to try and start taking some of the oil and the ore and just trying to make some money over there, because I'm going to need money at some point to help these two towns along, and I will think further about what I'm going to do here. I don't know yet. The space center looks very nice in the middle. You can see the rockets going off from everywhere. That might be nice. It's much more complicated to build than the airport, but the airport would seem to be the thing to do when you're going to be constructing tourist towns. I think an international airport would seem fitting there, so I'll probably go for the airport. Anyway, until next time, adios.